If you've ever played the Behemoths, Alien Hominid, Castle Crashers, Battleblock Theatre, or Pit People, you've seen the art of Dan Paladin. And thanks to the upcoming release of Alien Hominid Invasion and the original Alien Hominid HD on Switch, plus Steam and Xbox, we had a fantastic opportunity to watch him sketch in real time and discuss Alien Hominid Invasion's development, game design, an unused Castle Crashers Terminator reference, and even some drawing tips. With these pages as a teaser, let's dive into this Cue and Draw. Hi everyone, Tom here, and joined by very special guest Dan Paladin of Behemoth, co-founder and artist, and you also do a few more things, I believe. Dan, would you like to just introduce yourself and about your role and maybe start drawing away here in the special Cue and Draw?
Yeah, I work on game design and animation, art, concept stuff. Just, we all do a lot at the Behemoth, and that's kind of the gist of it.
Do you draw and prototype gameplay? It's something I've wondered.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we just draw anything that comes to mind, and then, feel it out. And the prototype actually becomes like the final, drawing, or the final project. It's just sort of it's an organic experience. Like at most places, you have a bunch of like design documents, and then you just follow the pages or whatever. But we throw that out. We just get rid of it. We feel it out.
So I think I read that it's kind of very like always back and forth and pushing each other to new ideas. How did Alien Hominid Invasion come about? Like, why go back to Alien Hominid?
Well, there was only one platform you could play it on, and it was the first real issue we ever had, where it was like, oh, this game can no longer be played on all the original platforms but one, and then it was backwards compatibility, right? That was it. So it's like, well, we should bring it back, but what if we like tried to see how it would work if we made it new? And it was a lot of fun to work on, but it's a totally different experience. It's so different that it just feels like another game, especially to work on. You can run away from stuff. You have a health bar. It's a whole new thing. And we were prototyping it, and it was just so fun to run around that, we just stuck with it, just kept it going, and we brought it to the shows and saw, asked people if they liked it, and they did, so we just kept going with it, yeah.
Now you see the alien here, it's a little bit different than before. Why the bigger ping pong ball-like head and sort of design changes?
I think over time, he used to be like this, he was like kind of wiggly and lumpy, and he had like small eyes and all this. I think over time I started to embrace more geometry, to the point that, we had Battleblock Theatre where it's like, here's our guy, this is him. He was just a cube, right? And I think I just started to embrace geometry a little more. And I guess that's what I didn't even know it was happening. It wasn't until I had to do like a timeline of all of our characters that I realized, how that was coming together.
With Alien Hominid's Invasion, if you could kind of draw its development as if it's an alien riding an agent on a jetpack, what would it look like so far?
Man, we have if this is where we are now, and then where we started was here, and this is one of our buildings. We kind of took a lot of turns. I'll be honest with you, like we had a thing with Gore. I didn't include Gore in the new one, because when people talked about, what is Alien Hominid HD, well, they would talk about the difficulty, they would talk about the way the game looks, but they never really talked about the gore. And so I was like, yeah, we don't need it. I was wrong. I was so wrong, because 30% of the comments online were all about, how there's no gore and how sad they are about that. So I added it back in, and then everybody got their gore. They got their, you get your guys that are sliced into ham like this, you get your guys. And then, everybody who gets their gore, everybody's happy. And, we even splatter, you splatter the walls and everything in Alien Hominid Invasion. So it's kind of, we listen to people, there were other things like they like his toes. They like the toes from the old one. They're like, where's his toes? I miss them. I don't know why they say that, but we tried it. We tried putting toes on this guy and they don't work. So we took them back off. So, in one sense, they were right about the gore, but we didn't really agree about the toes. However, Alien Hominid HD is being re-released. So if you want the toes, you just play the old one. It's a purist thing. If you want the new school, new take on it, then you can try Invasion. And everybody can, play on different difficulties. So if we have friendly, and we have insane, and we have normal. And so friendly has tons of health, and they're great. They're having a grand old time. They have a lot of lives and everything. And on insane, you get one extra life. That's it. You don't get anything else. So on insane, it's kind of like, I've never drawn the alien like this, but it's kind of like this. This is what insane feels like. Like you're trying your best, but it's crazy though, because if you ask people how hard the game is, I think people pick things that kind of suits like how crazy and how hardcore they are. So the guys who are on insane, they actually rate the game slightly easier than the people who play on normal or friendly. And I think it's because they're just so in tune with rolling and all that. So I was able to actually make the game a little harder over the course of time. Just like the Dead Cells guys. They said, our game controls real tight, so we were able to keep cranking it, and people were like, more. So yeah, it caters to just about anybody now. So I'm happy about that.
Playing the demo the other day, it's like I was surprised how much bullets I can sort of soak up, or green laser beams before dying. Like it's much more forgiving than my memories of the original Alien Hominid. So
there was no health bar. You would instantly die if you got hit with anything. Yeah, pretty much. And it was made to eat your quarters, right? But now it's kind of like, I don't know, the game's more welcoming, but it still pushes you. It's so hard to set the expectation, because we say it's in ways it's not as hard as the old one, but only because it's more about that you can set up your character, right? So you have a health bar, but you can have a little shield that breaks, so you get a little even more leeway, or you can make yourself have more offense or mobility. And we actually have iframes in the new one. When you rolled in the old one, your collision just shrunk down. So if you were rolling, if this was your collision here, when you rolled, it would just be like that high. So if you were going down like a hill, you would still, and the guy was shooting right at you, and you're rolling down the hill, you're still this thing, and you could die. In the new one, you just don't exist when you're rolling for a few frames, so you don't get hurt. So as long as you keep diving and everything, and if you're in the air and you set to dive, and you keep holding roll, you'll actually go straight into the concrete, and then you can just roll along the ground totally unharmed. And it's so, the rolling is a big extra aspect. And in the old one, you used to be able, when you dug, all you could do was just stick your arm out and grab people. This is all you could do. But now in the new one, you're you're cruising along, and we focused a lot on mobility. And it's just, I don't know, we rethought every little piece, so it felt great.
I think you're a little bit ahead of the game there, like Super Mario Wonder just the other day with their drilling down, or getting ahead of the drilling and mobility. But I want to revisit quickly, did you revisit Alien Hominid HD at all, and was there anything that surprised you compared to what you remembered?
I mean, yeah, I went and looked at it again. We took some things out that were really unfair. There was like a thing where any agent that was hanging out in a windowsill or a manhole cover and they had their gun like this, if you jumped past him, he would instantly in one frame just raise his gun and shoot you. And it felt so unfair that I was like, we should probably change that, because there was no way out of that at all. But for the most part, it's a purist experience. We felt like this is more of a re-release than anything else. So we're just bringing it to new platforms. It's 60 frames a second, it's high res, so it looks a lot nicer than you'd remember. But in terms of gameplay, we kept it about the same. I think it was interesting that, you can't double jump. I thought, wait, can't you double jump? No, you can't. You just jump one time. The controls, we simplified the controls from like the Flash game. So you used to it was if you wanted to jump onto somebody's head, you would have to hit, A to jump, and then A and down while you're over the guy. And then in Alien Hominid HD, because this is the Flash web one, in Alien Hominid HD, you would have to, what was it? I think you just had to hit A again. So then it was just A. I think, I need to go back and check that. I might be totally wrong about this, but it was still a little more complicated. Now you just hit A, and you just guide your alien onto someone's shoulders, and then you land right on it. So we simplified it over the course of time. Yeah.
I'll say it handles really smoothly, and like diving and then leaping onto guys and running, and the amount of speed and verticality in Alien Hominid is really impressive. But I want to circle back to the agents, and it's interesting hearing you say you didn't want blood in this. Like in my memory, it happened so quick. I didn't remember a ton of blood. Looking at screenshots, it's like, oh yeah. Was there ever something you held back on or went like, no, we crossed the line too far. We went too far. Let's dial it back.
I think we know our limit, but I do remember there was a death in Castle Crashers we didn't use. So there was a death where you got your knight, and then he was just standing right there, and let's say he loses all his health. We had a thing where he had a little skeleton that was left, and then it would fall, but it was all of his skin blew off, and the meat all the meat would just go flying like this, and it would just boom, and part of the reason, one of the only reasons we didn't do this was because I was like, how do you resuscitate your friend? What are you gonna do? So, but it was a really cool, little animation of it, it's all the chunks blowing off of him. We still have to think about our game being rated teen and everything, and other countries aren't as okay with, this kind of thing as we are over here. But it was pretty fun. They have all these rules, like, if you have bones with no blood, it's okay in some places. But if you put any blood on the bones, it's not okay anymore. Or I know in China you can't show a skull, but if you show a lich that has flesh over top, then it's okay. So we had our zombies in China where they've got their skin on and it looks really creepy. They kind of look like this, and then the skin on the ribs, it just looks so horrifying to me. It looks way worse to have a lich than this. This is cute to me, whereas this is oh god, what is going on? I think they even have a little bit of hair or something. It's just gross. So yeah, each country has different limits on what you can and can't do. So I try to just keep it within a oh ha ha kind of thing. And as long as it happens fast, right? Nobody's suffering, they're instantly gone, and then we're okay with it.
My favorite, well, of course, you got the pooping deer in Castle Crashers, and the one dad boss who jumps into the lava and does the thumbs up. That was one of my favorites. Now,
In the lava, you mean? Yeah. I wanted to have, there was one more Terminator reference I wanted, because there's an elevator, and I wanted, after you beat the Conehead Groom guy, just like that or whatever, after you beat this guy, there's an elevator off to the side and the Cyclops comes out, but I was originally thinking that you go to get in the elevator, and then you freak out, and you have like the Sarah Connor kicking along the floor as the Cyclops comes out of the, you know, we were gonna have like that moment from the movie, like, oh no. We didn't do it, but part of me was like, man, we could have referenced every single Terminator movie in one game.
maybe like a liquid one that goes.
Right? Yeah.
I noticed in Alien Hominid Invasion, in one of the trailers, there's a scene where the alien kind of gets muscular and has a beefy arm. There's a big thing of, always love the beefy arm drawings. Do you have any pro tips to draw a beefy strong arm?
I guess the way I would do it is you got the shoulder, the bicep, and then you draw where the hand is, and then you come out here, boom, you got yourself a big beefy arm. And then if you want to do the chest, just go right across, just like that geometry thing I said, bam. You want more abs, you get more abs. Just like that. So I don't know, it's just, to me, it's, one of the tricks for doing arms is to draw where the hand is. If you draw where the hand is first, so if you have like the alien, and let's say he's gonna have really weird long arms, and I want him on the table, where he's got one hand like kind of flat on the table and the other like that. Now I know, oh, okay, I can just, you know, get the arms the way I need to. And you know, as long as you just know where the head and the hands are, boom, you've got it. So there's the trick.
Moving around the mic, make sure we can see your drawing.
Yeah.
But, one thing I was interested in, how you dealt with readability. What have you done? Readability for Alien Hominid Invasion, because there's a lot going on, but generally I find like I can tell where I am despite like a ton of enemies coming in. What were some of the things you did to deal with that?
Well, on some level we have things where like if smoke goes in front of you, then, and your alien's here, we do an outline of the alien in the part that is occluded. You know, we call it occlusion. And so we have a buffer for that kind of thing. I think the camera following your character is huge, although in multiplayer, the camera can't follow you specifically, although it does kind of try to stick to your guy's center point. So if you have another guy out to the side, if he wants to find himself, we actually have this little reticle of his color that appears when the zoom is at a certain level. So you kind of get these like little reticles that appear on you as well, and that seems to help people find themselves. But I think the other thing is you can choose your color. You can choose a really bright color, and I've noticed nobody ever chooses to be the same color. They all want to have like different, this is me, that's me, you know? So they just have to look for that.
Customization, I've noticed, been a huge thing in Behemoth, the Behemoth games, and in this one, it seems, is that in part to like the amount of level, or I guess kind of different abilities you can get to make it way more replayable and last a long time?
I think so. So it used to be that like in Pit People, you know, you'd get the dynamite stick, and the dynamite stick only does one thing, right? So that was the kind of shame. But now, in Alien Hominid Invasion, like we learned from this, people were like, you know what? I really like the look of this like enormous hat, and I can't, you know, it's always just one stat. And well, now it's not. Now you can be happy because every time you find that hat again, it has a totally remixed set of attributes that it could have on it, and just completely different. So you can rock the same hat. It can be a different color, whatever color you want, it'll adhere to it. And so now even the weapons, they all have like different stats that are attached to them as well. So every time you get loot, it's supposed to be like, oh, should I do that or this? And hard choices are kind of what make the new sort of games exciting, because it's like, well, should we go this way or that way? Should I pick this thing or that thing? And the hard choices are really what make it kind of fun. It's like, should I be able to jump super high like this? Or should I be able to dig under the ground 300% faster and just absolutely just cruise, right? And so there's other things on top of it where it's like, oh, I want to have the jetpack mutation and jump super high, and now you're just in the air the entire time. And the other guy's, no, I need more speed and defense, and he's just on the ground. So you can both play like however you want and stick to your own spot. So the mutations are another huge thing, because some people are like, oh, I can't bite people's heads off like in the old one, but you can, because we have a vampire mutation, and you go flying through the air. And I don't know if you tried that one or saw that one, but
Try that mutation.
it has a bunch of like extra little teeth on the inside too. So like it's actually kind of creepier than the old one. You go flying, and actually the same thing happens to the agent. They have a bunch of meat go flying off of them, and they're just red muscle. It's so gross. So yeah, if you guys ever try that, and if you're riding on someone's head though, he will bite their head off. Well, he'll bite all of their flesh off, so you can still ride people's shoulders and bite them. But in the new one, if you're riding on somebody's shoulders, you shoot like from their shoulder, so you end up shooting out this way, right? And I don't know, I thought that was kind of fun, because now you can't be hurt. If anything comes in, it hits them instead. And but if you're feeling like, oh, I also want to bite their head off, and you have the vampire mutation, you just hit the mutation button and boom, now you bite them too. So we're trying to mix all that up. And like with the sword, with the sword you can still slice people in half like this, and the laser gun does that and everything. So things that used to be power-ups, we had the old Proton Gun. And the Proton Gun, it almost kind of looks like an Uzi, but it fires these quick like triple bursts. And that used to be something that was like only a power-up in the old one. But all the new guns, they're guns that you have like for that whole level. And if you don't like that gun, if it's not working out for you, you can just change it in the next level as long as you survived. And so now you can just use the photon the whole time. And one of the fun things is like there's like the minigun, and the minigun is really cool because it shoots so many bullets that when you're shooting down, you just fly. You're just like, you just hold it down and you're just going flying across the screen. So that's a lot of fun. Like all the weapons kind of work different, and they all have strengths and weaknesses. One thing people were saying, oh, I can't melee. Yeah, you can. There's a sword weapon, and you swipe it across like that. But he's got it kind of looks like a blaster, but it just extends out like that. So yeah, you can slice people and still be badass. So this one's actually really fun because for anybody who played Strider back in the day, it's just a guy who's got a sword running around. But you get up close to everybody, and if you charge shot with the sword, you go flying with this huge like attack. So you go, any direction you want to go, you go flying with the sword in that way, and it's like a totally different way to play. So any gun you bring changes it.
Is that in the demo right now? Like if I play on the arcade machine?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, so the way the demo works is we have a pool of items, and it's all randomized which ones that you start with. So every time you play the demo, you'll have different mutations and different weapons to pick from. Yeah.
Well, Dan, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I wanted to ask, do you have a favorite Behemoth character to draw, or is there a moment in Alien Hominid Invasion that you can talk about that you really want people to see?
Yeah, I really like the raccoon monster from Battleblock Theatre. He reminds me of my dog. I got a French bulldog, and his tongue's hanging out. My dog, when he was a puppy, he was such a pain. So he would chew the bars on his cage, and then he ended up messing up his teeth that way. And then I was like, okay, I won't keep you in your cage at night. And he doesn't. That was only for potty training. And then because he had like weird teeth, he started chewing. He can chew onto flat walls, and he chewed the paint off the wall, and he ate some of the paint. And then his tongue only came out on one side, and it freaked me out. But he's like 11 years old now. He doesn't care. He's been that way his whole life. So he's got the tongue hanging out. And I don't know, the raccoon monster, I got him around the same time as Battleblock Theatre. So that's when he did it. And so this guy's kind of Winston. Winston actually looks like he's more like this. Yeah, Winston's more like that, but yeah, he's more like that. He's getting kind of fat. That's actually too fat. There we go. But he kind of looks like that. And then they have a pug, Penelope, and they actually each have a head in the game, and so she's actually really fat. So Penelope and Winston are in the game. Your alien will look like them. The alien has the ears like that. Just look for those, and you got it. But yeah, I don't know. I think this guy is the most fun for me to draw for some reason.
Well, Dan, I did some drawing back in the day, and I really looked up to you drawing. What drawing advice would you give to youngsters or kids that maybe want to get into the industry later on?
There's a couple things. I think you got to remember that everybody wants it, and they're practicing. So when you feel like it, and you're not going to burn yourself out, go ahead and practice, try new things. Once you're up and running, you don't get as much chance to try new stuff. And so when you're looking for a style, don't try to force it. You can draw stuff that other people drew and learn from it, but evolve into your own thing, because if your stuff looks like somebody else's, that's all anybody's going to say. So you want to make sure you find your own kind of thing. The other thing is, it's one day at a time. You're not going to be amazing overnight. And one really cool thing to do is revisit stuff. So like a year later, don't even look at it. Draw the same thing that you remember drawing like about a year ago, and then break it out and compare them. Because you always trick yourself, you're not getting anywhere. But if you do that, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I mean, I'm looking at Alien Hominid HD from 20 years ago, and I'm like, crap. Man, my learning curve is on full display, And then you look at how it is now. I think that's one of the things. And the final thing is, do not over-polish your stuff. Just keep making more things. Leave it to the point where most people won't know the difference of what you did. Because some people polish and polish and polish, and they lose all that time on what they could have just been trying other things. Just screw up as much as you can, because then you'll learn what not to do, and you'll be great.
All right, well, thank you so much, Dan. And if you want to give a quick shout out to when Alien Hominid HD and Invasion, are they probably coming out on Switch and other platforms like Xbox, Steam before the end of the year, or just kind of?
They're going to come out at the same time. We don't have a release date just yet because part of the logistics of it's crazy. But yeah, Invasion and HD are both coming to the same platforms: Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. And Steam Deck compatible as well. They're going to be they're going to drop at the same time. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, come see us on Discord, hang out with us, celebrate the launch whenever that happens. We'll be there.
Okay, well, I'm certainly going to be looking forward to it. Thanks so much for your time,